Wow. Day three. Day three of the new time. It's crazy.
You feel like it's a brand new show. The
I
Backpack
know.
Show. It's a show about success. We bring you insights about
Insights
success from
from.
unusual places.
We have unusual places today. That's for damn sure.
I'm so
Maine.
excited.
We have a lot. You
Yeah,
should talk
so
about this episode. This is your crazy ass creation. This is a goodie. So
so I watched Teen Titans Go with my kids who
like you
are
do.
older. Yeah, they're like teens. And one of the episodes was all about this song, this 80s song called The Night Begins to Shine. And it was such a popular episode and such a bitchin' song, frankly. They made it like a mini series of episodes about it. And we all watched it together like it was the 50s. Like as soon as the thing came out, we sat down in front of the TV and watched the whole thing. And I was like, oh my God, they loved it so much. One of my kids dressed up as a member of BER, this fictional band, as it turns out, for Halloween one year. And so, anyway, so I was like, I think it would be cool if I get BER on the show. Of course, they're individual, very accomplished musicians with totally separate careers. And we're going to get the story about the song that was on the Teen Titans Go show. But we're going to have Carl Burnett on tonight. And man, he's an amazing musician.
You look up
Primarily
funk in the dictionary, and there he is.
jazz, rock, blues. Yep. Funk definitely in there. Also a music producer. So we're going to talk about that. But you've heard some of his music on TV shows like Extra, Pawn Stars, TMZ, and of course Teen Titans Go. So I'm excited about that. And we're going to talk with Kyle Lamont, who hosts a podcast called Concert Cast. It's a travel podcast exploring podcast culture. She's also the founder of Good to Go Studios.
Concert culture.
Yes, I said. Didn't I?
Said podcast culture.
Oh, I have aphasia, I guess.
Okay.
And she works as a commercial producer and director for Matador Network, which is the biggest independent producer of travel content in the world.
Olay.
Branded travel content.
Welcome to the Backpack Show with your hosts, Chris Brogan and Carrie Gargone. Boom shakalaka!
We got the boom shakalaka back.
We got the boom shakalaka back. Thank you, Stubble Judge, sometimes known as Dan Brogan.
Thank you.
Oh, look at that. You already have hair love going. So we have, hey, Coach Woodard, good to see you. You know what? Let's do a couple things ahead of time. I want to do a couple of the ads ahead of time, and then we'll go on and do some other stuff. And one of the first ones I want to do, Kate works with a company right now called Presearch.com, and she used our brand new cryptocurrency, the Backpack Token, to sponsor the show. And then her business partners rushed in and did the same thing. So it's pretty much they're going to sponsor their show to the rest of time.
Love
it. Their company's name is Presearch. They're a search engine. You got to try it out. It's a different kind of search engine. They're trying to break the monopoly on the big Googler, and they're also going to work on the whole experience of changing the way search works. You can actually get coins and rewards for using their search engine instead of the one you're used to. So presearch.com.
Have you tried it?
Yeah. So I have to hit a button that I forgot to hit. I tried it today and yesterday. And first off, you do the same thing you do at every search engine. You search yourself.
Of course.
And I was like, oh, that's pretty darn nice looking. And then the other thing I did was I started looking around at like, what would it do differently? One of the things it does is it lets you pick a bunch of search engines if you want, which I thought was kind of cool. And then I was like, oh, well, they don't have one of the ones I wanted to use. Oh, there's a thing right there that just lets you put it in. So I was like, oh, I'll make another search engine. Why not? Hey, Jacob. All right. So that's it. Presearch.com. That's one of them. We'll do a couple more ads in the middle, and we'll talk about how to get some of these backpack coins.
Yeah, we should totally give some backpack coins.
We're going to gift backpack coins too. They are worth
at
something.
Different times too.
Right. Not always at the end. So you don't have a free pass to run and head off. I think we're going to start with Carl Burnett. We're going to ask him the question, which means, Kyle, if you have a minute, if you want to go get a cup of coffee, we're going to have to ask this very accomplished gentleman what it's like to suddenly be like known for something very recent and very memey.
To see a cartoon version of your, like a fictional version of yourself.
Carl,
hey,
is that weird or not? I mean, I know you're a longtime comic book guy, so maybe it's just super flattering, but you have this huge career. But if you ask a whole bunch of people right now, they only know about this Teen Titans song.
Sure. Well, I mean, in a certain demographic, I mean, some of my friends and things, they really don't know too much about it, other than, if I happen to mention it to them. But, amongst the fans, it's not like I, go grocery shopping and little kids go, oh, well, that's Carl Burnett. No, because, it's not really that recognizable. And even when the guys and I went to Comic-Con a few years back, we were walking around and Billy had to like lean over and start singing to little kids, and then they got it. Then they're looking and they really didn't understand what was going on because they don't expect to see the people in the real world, and then the parents had to explain those are the guys from yeah. So, no, so it's not really like what you might imagine, but Billy and I were. Billy Regan, he's the lead vocalist on the tracks. We were at Montreal Comic-Con summer before last, and got a really great response from a lot of kids that stayed up late when they should have had us in the afternoon, but it was like getting like 9, 10 o'clock, but the kids were still kind of.
Oh yeah.
Then we got a dose of how loud a group of about 50.
Of course.
Grade schoolers could be. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, especially at that hour. Like they're so pumped up.
Right. Yeah.
So did you ever think, like when somebody said, hey, great news, they want to use one of your songs on TV, were you like, that one?
Yeah.
Tell me about the song.
That's a good question. And you might think that that's how it would have went. But how it actually went was I got a call from Frank, and he's a co-writer on the project. He's Frank and Nia the E, and he goes, I got a Facebook message from the wife of one of the producers from Teen Titans Go, and she was asking me about a song. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So we only found out about it after the fact. It was already out. It was happening, and we had no clue. And so it's not like we got a call or any of us got a call to say, hey, this is about what's to happen. We really
Look,
found
they made you cartoons.
Yeah, we found out about it on the backside. But yeah, it was quite incredible, and now there's some talk about HBO Max and doing a spinoff, some type of a spinoff series to come. So we'll see how that develops. Yeah,
I am here for it.
It sounds promising. Yeah.
But what a funny roundabout way, kind of, to achieve mainstream success, at least among the kids set.
Yeah, amongst a bunch of little kids, because right before this, we're talking to somebody who's got like Branford Marsalis credits and all this kind of thing.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's so many people would fall at your knees and say, I'm not worthy, just because you play with Branford and everybody. But
right.
For this cartoon to be the big name for you right now, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Yeah.
Well, you were explaining, it sounds ridiculous when you say it. When you just explain chronologically what has happened, it's funny and insane.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's one of those things where some might say that it came about by coincidence, but that's not how I look at it, because it's at such a high level of coincidence that it's not coincidence anymore. I mean, for me, it's really that like a godly intervention for that many things to happen, to come together, because one of the little bizarre pieces that people don't know unless you talk to me or one of the guys is that because it came about before anyone knew who we were, I mean, anyone at the show knew who we were, the character of Billy Regan in the cartoon, as you guys know, his superhero version, he has this long mane of red hair. And that's the cartoon version that they created before they knew who he was.
What? So it looked like him, even though they had never looked him up.
And it gets deeper. And in the original cassette artwork that they made, they had Carl Burnett, and I was like in a kind of a stripy kind of Joker looking suit, the character, but Carl Burnett's playing the drums, as you know. That's my character, that the cartoon character Carl Burnett plays the drums. But there is a real live Carl Burnett who's a jazz drummer who's had an amazing career playing with Freddie Hubbard amongst other jazz luminaries throughout the decades. So that's strange. Wow. Because when I was living in LA, I would often get calls and it was like, yeah, man, we played this gig back. And I'm like, no, you're looking for Carl Burnett, the drummer. That was a different guy. That's the other Carl. So, I mean, these kinds of things, that's not something that, you can't say it's a coincidence anymore when you have something like that. Because, when we first heard about it, my wife is like, she's talking to me and she was out of town. And I told her what was going on and I sent her the thing and she goes, how did they know how Billy looked? I'm like, no, they did know how Billy looked. They don't even know who he is at this point.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So the three of you then, you did this like one song together, a catalog of songs. Were you collaborating at any point over the years, or this was like, oh, hey, nice to talk to you again after these many years. Our song is now randomly a big hit.
Yeah, well, I would say maybe sporadically, Frank and I may have worked on a couple of things here and there. And Billy, not as much, but we had done a number of projects before that together.
But then after this, you had to write.
Shows. Yeah.
You had to write more because they were like wanted to do a whole story
that
featured you on the show, and they needed like another song. So what was that like?
Yeah, so we all got together when we worked on the first series, and and did our best to recreate the energy that everybody loved with the first song. Yeah.
That's going to be tricky, though. Again, back to the fact that jazz and funk are what you're so known for.
Yeah.
Sort of tangentially, I listened to a lot of your work, and it was all about like a really great soundscapes. And you're a great like complementary player to a bassist, to allow them to do their work and all
Sure.
that, which is, and I grew up in rock. Rock gets the guitarist and the bassist has to sit around waiting. And you've done all these pieces like that. So to come and suddenly be known for the 80s music, which is a whole other kind of thing, I guess maybe on the plus, it allowed you like the high of it is it allowed you to work and be known for another part of your facets. On the
Absolutely.
low, do you feel like, man, I wish I could just get in like a good crazy riff or 10 on the next piece they let us work on? Or do you want to bring other parts of you to the next bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you notice, like the most recent single, the one that was in the special last summer, "You're the One," that has a guitar solo. That's me. And I think there's a solo in one of the other tunes. It's not like I really listen to them all the time, but I think there's a guitar solo in one of the other ones too. I think it was in Chimerical. That was a song that they put in they had the Teen Titans talent show, American Idol style special, and it was really chaotic. And then BER came in at the last minute and stole
and
the
obviously
stuff.
won. Yeah.
So yeah. So that's like the little sneak in. But you asked about the 80s. The 80s for me was that time period. That's when I was in college and I was playing a lot of playing in very active in the 80s scene. So that was to do that. All I had to think, oh, well, I'm just going to do what I was doing when I was back in school. Yeah. So when I got the call to do an 80s style pop song, the first thing I thought about, man, I'm going to make a track that sounds like Duran Duran. I mean, that was the first thing that came to mind, So to try to create that 80s feel is something that feels very familiar to me. So it's not like I have to dig too deep to get back there.
Well, you're a producer as well, so I imagine that you already had a lot of ideas about how to produce the right type of sound.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow, right to Duran Duran. I mean,
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind because that,
Nick Rhodes and John Taylor were pretty hot, but I mean,
absolutely.
nobody like falls on a sword to defend Andy Taylor as being
Right.
especially great guitarist. I mean, I'm not throwing rocks at Andy, God bless, but that's an interesting choice. It was interesting you went to Duran Duran as
Yeah.
your
That was my first thought. Wow, I'm making a Duran Duran style track. And yeah.
Carol's first concert ever.
Carol's first
was
concert.
Duran Duran.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really
Apparently.
cool. That's really cool. Yeah.
So it sounds like this has been fun for you. I think a lot of people might have been like nonplussed to suddenly have this strange turn in their career, but it sounds like you've really embraced it.
Yeah, I mean, and the other side of it is, I've always been a comic book fan, and I've got like, got boxes of the stuff in the basement, and they're all wrapped in plastic and, they're sealed and
Like
a few of them are unopened, and Death of Superman, and I'm trying to think of a fence are Death of Superman's back there. I think Arkham Knights or something. I don't know. Dark Knight when Batman gets beaten by Bane. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing you guys on the.
No. We're comic book nerds too.
The comic book land.
Totally there.
And when I was a kid, I had a lot of characters that I had created myself, and I was, creating a lot of storylines in some of my comics. So my cousins, people in my family that know that was a funny thing for them. They were like, "Wow, isn't it a trip, man? Like you used to draw those comic books, and now you're like a cartoon now." Like, yeah. So yeah, it's really crazy. Yeah.
The world changes up.
So this is my kid's dad there. Do you believe in the power of music?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. When
crazy.
when the Night Begins to Shine, first hit, got a lot of feedback from families with kids that are autistic, and just a lot of comments on how the watching the Teen Titans Go and the music in the show was really having a positive impact that folks were seeing.
It's a damn good song, I have to say.
Yeah.
Really,
I mean, there's worse things to be known for your whole life. I always think Rick Astley's quite the performer, but he only gets the one song for the whole rest of his life. Oh, Carl Burnett, thank you so much for being part of the show today. It means so much. If you could stick around, we'll bring you back for a little panel.
Yeah, we need to know like what you have coming up and all that stuff.
We have
so
lots more questions. So
we do.
Don't go too far.
All right, super. I'm right here.
Power of music for sure.
For sure. Listen, people of Earth, John Taylor posters all over the wall. Yes. And then, hi, I'm Nick Rhodes. You get all those like great, exotic to a person from Maine, British accents and all that. But John Taylor was an incredible bassist, and nobody really noticed it, like, because the 80s was all about that. You'd only hear the synths, and he's one of those ones that always comes up in those lists of people who you didn't know were great musicians, which is another question.
You get short shrift.
Yes, the shrift is the shortest. All right, so
say that 5 times fast.
No. Hey, if you don't like our faces, get a podcast. You can listen to us anywhere there's podcasts. We're hosted by Castos. They're really good people. You can get peas at castos.com. Hey, want a .online domain? You can have one. They're only $1 for a whole year. cbrogan.me/online. Use the code Chris, all capitals, please.
Well, that's how you get the $1 the whole year, right? Is the code Chris. Otherwise,
code Chris.
It costs whatever it regularly costs.
$806, like $10 or something. All right. Hey, do you want to make a show just like this one, only better? You can. You can just use StreamYard. It's really
so
good.
Easy.
So easy to use, and even a duck could do it.
I don't know that that's true. But you have to bring your own incredible award-winning musician if you want to have your own show.
And you have to follow him around with some casted concerts. Hey, so listen, we launched a creator coin because you're now part of a grand experiment with us. So we have, did I stop sharing that because I'm a boob? Yes, I did. We have a creator coin that you can come and slurp up and support the community, but also get all kinds of really interesting opportunities.
Elizabeth called you a quack.
Yes. You get all kinds of training and opportunities if you go to rally.io. Make yourself a free account. Now, if you're here during the show and we talk to you about this, we have a coin of our own called Backpack. And so you go to rally.io/creator/BKPK for Backpack. And you can find right here.
You can just search for BKPK.
Right now is trading at $1.67. So it goes up and down. I've made and lost thousands today because it's crypto coin.
Yeah. That's not so. Let us give you some so you can watch it go up and down and feel like this detachment that comes from having received it for free.
Stuff that doesn't even look like money yet.
You don't even have to do anything with it if you don't want, but you can because money.
Rally.io. And then after you have your account, you just let us know your account name on the show and we will gift you some coins.
Send you some coin.
We've been doing a bunch of that. So you just have to click it right in here.
So you can tell us in the comments what your username is, or if you don't have time to set up your account right now, just email me, Carrie@chrisbrogan.com. And we need a password.
What's the password of the day?
Booyah. Booyah. Booyah.
It's a good password.
So mention Booyah if you email me. I don't care if you like it or not. I have to remember it.
Day before yesterday was rutabaga. That's all I know.
Oh, and yesterday was New England clam chowder. And then today is Booyah.
Yeah, there's not even a theme to these passwords. They're very cryptic.
Well, that is the point of a password. So,
right.
Well,
we've got to dig in. We've got to learn about the concert cast. We've got to figure out, what are we going to do? Listen, one of the things we're going to ask both of the guests is coming up, but musicians had a really rough time during COVID. Now we're talking about concert culture and following concerts around and all that sort of thing. And there's a lot to it. So let's grab Kyle Lamont. Hey, Kyle, how are you?
Hi.
Welcome to the craziness.
I'm enjoying it. You guys are so dialed. I'm very impressed and taking a lot of notes.
I'm fangirling out.
Yeah, I like StreamYard. It's sort of cool for possible future podcasting episodes myself. So thank you for the insight.
Super
easy. Look,
Well,
we can't all just meet at a VR dance club. Some of us have to, just be on plain old cameras and stuff.
Boring.
Right. See?
Well, we do have some very exciting benefits for guests of the Backpack Show.
Guests of the show stay at the inconveniently located from downtown or anywhere, never to be confused with luxurious and never updated FDR Hotel, located somewhere off Highway 84 near an old gas station with a burned out van parked out front with a for sale sign.
Putting the F in accommodations.
Just when I thought you guys had outdone yourself.
We've got levels to this.
You hit us with this mock commercial. I like that.
That's Tim Kitzrow, by the way. He was the voice of the 1990s Midway Games, Mutant League Football, but also NBA Jam, where he has a word coined for the rest of his life. Boom, shakalaka.
He's so good.
And NFL Blitz. He makes us far too many audio files, and we get to come up with things. Stubble Judge, who we heard from earlier, makes it graphical. Let's get into Concert Cast. Let's talk just a little bit about what the idea was behind this and kind of, what you had to do when you're midway through or at the end of season 2, but hey, a pandemic happened. So this kind of probably changed the plan a little. Let's talk from that point forward and backwards.
Yes. So imagine a time before pandemic. When traveling to see a concert was all the rage, right? And it will be again soon. Right. So ConcertCast is a travel podcast exploring concert culture. And I started it because I personally love traveling to see concerts. And more importantly, I love exploring different music venues. I believe that every venue has a voice, has a story, and it is a portal to discovering that particular town's culture. Right. And so I started ConcertCast in early 19, and it was a road trip around my home state of Maine. And I wanted to take listeners to all the different music venues in the state and talk to people behind the scenes, talk to musicians, venue owners, all of that. Plus, it's definitely an exploration and of my life in music and traveling in music. And so that was season 1, a road trip around Maine. And then the pandemic hit. And the first thing our team did was just reconnect with previous guests. And it just became really clear that the way forward for ConcertCast was to keep telling stories and to document what was going on and to really share with listeners sort of things to expect on the other side of this. So season 2 is a really great deep dive, again, into the behind the scenes of the industry. We have everyone from music venue owners to the vice president of NEVA, which was a huge organization that helped our independent venues, virtual reality musician and DJ, you name it. I really tried to touch every sort of part of the ecosystem of concert culture to just give listeners more insight to what to expect. And so we're wrapping up season 2 right now, and it's just a great time to wrap up. But it's still very relative. There's a lot of tidbits of information to really know about going into concert season this summer. So that's that spiel.
Carrie and I both have experience doing podcasts for quite a bit. I started my first one in 2005 and launched an event called PodCamp in 2006, which was like
which I said I would not come to.
Yeah, she blew us off so hard. But
my podcast was about pregnancy, and then I had a newborn. Oh, and you're like, do you want to come to my event? And I was like, hell no.
A bunch of moms there.
Maybe.
So Carrie said no, but Carrie's had a bunch of her own podcasts. She's run the Marketing Props podcast for, I forget, 71 years or something.
8 years. Thank you very much.
You have Punch Out, which you've run for like another 8 years. And so it's like crazy. And then, I've launched a new show every year as long as I can remember because I hate continuity. So you are in here, you're wrapping up season 2. When I heard what your show was about, I was kind of like, that seems like a not really long-lived kind of a subject. It turns out I'm wrong. That's never happened, Kyle. But I'm wrong in this case. There's probably a lot of episodes. What made you decide this is what you wanted to talk about? And how did you decide you were going to be able to get like 81 seasons out of this?
For season 2? You mean?
For all of it. Like, what made you say, I'll do something about the concert culture? And I think there's enough here to feed this for some duration of time.
And enough to keep you doing it because it's a lot of work.
You can pod fade, like the kids used to say.
Yeah, I think there's just something to be said about traveling and live music are so interconnected. They both change you, and they both make you feel alive and connected. And I think just following those trains of thought and those feelings and those emotions are what drive each episode. But prior to the pandemic, I'm fascinated with venues, right? There's so many venues in every town, city, community that really have an impact in people's lives across generations. Right? I think that's what's really exciting, that I can stand in the same music venue that my parents once did and have a similar experience through the power of that place. And that's why it's really heartbreaking right now, obviously, that all these venues are closed and are still having a hard time reopening because these places are so significant to concert culture. And that was sort of the impetus of starting the show is going to the venues and just really feeling the history, the stories that come out of them, talking to the venue owners, going backstage, talking about little details in the architecture. That's what feeds the show. And then traveling to get to the venue is sometimes half the fun, right? And so that's really part of the show as well. It's sort of a music-centric itinerary, right? Share with you places to stay and what other things to check out before you see the concert. And of course, touch on Carrie's favorite things to do, which is the after party. So that's definitely a big part of the show is what to do outside of the venue as well.
Know it.
Yeah.
it's what you were saying about the venue kind of meaning something. I'm a professional speaker, which is not that I always wanted to be in a rock band, and I didn't get the choice because I kept forgetting to practice. I'm good enough to entertain people for a few minutes with parts of songs, but I kept forgetting to practice. So as I was professional speaking, every now and again, I'd go to a venue that was storied in some way, and I'd go, wow, this is kind of neat. So I was looking around to find the example of this. One of them was in Orange, California. It was Chapman University. And the sound guy has me standing, look at me in 2009 with my douchey shirt on. Those like fake tattoo shirts that people had.
Do you still have it?
No, I don't.
Ed Hardy.
Yeah, like one of those, like Affliction or something. So when I'm standing right where I'm standing there, the sound and engineering guys who are doing the sound check say, hey, stand just a little to your left. I said, okay. He goes, a little bit more. He goes, stand forward just a little. He goes, close your eyes just for a second. And then it's just silent. And I'm like, I don't know, like, is he going to shoot me with something? Like, I felt so paranoid. He goes, Martin Luther King gave a speech right where your feet are right now. You're standing on the spot Martin Luther King Jr. Gave a speech.
Wow.
I felt electricity go through my body. So I know what you're saying, that feeling of like you're in a place where this happened and you're connected to this. And then I thought, I'm going to tell the stupidest speech in the world. Leader, like, don't tell me that. So I get what you're saying, but what I loved in looking through your episodes, you go right deep into architecture, soundscapes. You go into how it is to run a virtual event versus not. The future of VR. You know that Carl's 80s music is going to sound amazing with a headset on and psychedelic vision in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine standing in the same place as MLK? That is so cool.
It's ridiculous.
What a crash to like your ego.
Oh, I think he's okay.
So do you like Twitter? Twitter's good, isn't it?
Fine.
That was the speech.
We could all use a little humility. I got sworn in as an attorney in Faneuil Hall, like where all the patriots, argued during the Revolutionary time. That was pretty humbling. I'm like, I don't know. So there's a lot of amazing venues that have a lot of history like that.
Exactly, and that's not to preach, but like. Preach. the pandemic is really taking a toll on our venues, and there's multiple ways to help. NEVA, like I said, is been a huge part of the process of getting the venue the small business grant for the venues, but there's obviously still having a hard time reopening, getting that money through. But it's now more than ever, like, to go to a venue and rejoice and care for one another and really just truly appreciate that place, right? More than ever. And I think prior to pandemic, obviously a lot of us took that for granted. And that was sort of like the exciting part of the podcast, was to put that light on the venue of how significant this place is and how it, without the place, chicken or the egg, right? The band or the venue, you don't know, what comes first. You just know you need both to really enjoy that moment. And I love like being in a venue, how like you're just transported, right? Like for 2 hours, 3 hours, like you truly leave yourself because of the music. And that can't happen without that little portal there. And that's what drives the show so much is just that feeling of going into new venues and feeling that and just like getting ready to let go. And so, yeah. And, it's a lot about the history and like talking with people, but it's a lot of introspection as well. I worked in the music industry and travel a lot as well. So it's a lot of just rumination on a particular subject, that I hope translates and that people can also it's just trying to create a shared experience for everyone. And that's what music does for us. So hopefully by telling stories myself, that people can hear part of themselves as well.
So are there ways people can help that you've talked about, like on posts on your site or somewhere we can send people?
So NEVA is a great place, and just your local venue truly is going to be a really great start. Gift cards and everything, and just going out to support, I think, when they open is going to make a huge difference.
about that they've had successful experiments now. They've run, concerts with people that are vaccinated, everybody's masked and distanced, having, 1,000 people there, and only like a very small handful of people have any kind of issue after. So I'm like, just hoping. You do other kinds of branded travel content as well. So I feel like you've got the travel bug just all around.
Yeah, between traveling for, to direct and produce branded content commercials for like Subaru or Samsung, I just love really telling a story about a place or a brand in a really unique way. And so whether that's through video commercials or through podcasting, it's just like, I can't help it. I love it. So that's, but as we know with podcasting, we can express ourselves a little bit more, whereas with video, right, you're sort of very like constricted to like 30 seconds. So I think that's what's been the fun part of exploring podcasting, is just being able to just breathe a little bit, right, and not feel so rushed or forced to connect quickly. Just sort of sink into it and really, hopefully, as we know, connect and grow together. So,
what's going to change? What kind of level ups are coming between season 2 and season 3? And what do you want to make different? What are you thinking? I'm not doing any more of that. Give us a little peek at season 3.
I don't want to say no more Zoom interviews, because I think that's like the next, maybe I'll do more StreamYard interviews, to be honest. Can I get that code again?
Yeah, of course.
There you go.
There it is.
So season 3 is in the works, and I'm really hopeful to get back on the road and connect deeper with venues. Really hope to share their reopen process and help restore faith in concert going and traveling with listeners, and just really come at it from a, like, all of us are in this weird, exciting position of like new again. And I think that's going to be really exciting for all of us to just experience together, like a fresh, clean slate in a weird way. So,
well, I guess it would be nice, helping out with that, restoring faith. I think that's a good plan going forward. I'm going to grab our man, Carl. It was funny.
Yes.
I was thinking about something here. Carl, I'm bringing you back, my friend.
Sure. Hi.
Not much warning, but there you go.
Yeah,
That's good. I was just making a note there because I wanted to come around to something that what Kyle's talking about. Yeah.
Go.
Okay. I'm here.
It's your moment. Go.
Because of, being a professional musician and not having that concert going experience that you described, but it made me remember that feeling like when I was a teenager and still in high school and going to a show, and it was like, oh, it's and that anticipation, and just like what you were talking about, you're getting ready for the event, and then you're at the venue, maybe you're waiting in line, and maybe you can't catch a glimpse of one of the band members walking in. Yeah, I mean, and it's so incredible, but I don't really get that anymore.
Oh, yes, you will, though, right? Can you imagine? It's like
no, I don't get it in the sense anymore, because I'm not that type of a concert goer anymore.
But wait,
I go see my friends play. I mean, if I go to a show, I don't have that feeling that you're talking about.
Oh, Carl,
it's a
when
different.
VER has a concert,
are you talking about growing older?
It's a different feeling, though, the one that you're talking about as a fan.
Yeah.
Going to a show, and that's what I'm talking about.
Oh.
It's a different kind of a thing that I don't experience that type of a feeling when I enjoy going to shows, but it's not the feeling that you described, which is really something that's very special. That's what I wanted to and it's cool that you have a program that highlights that. Yeah.
Carl, what's an early one you saw that you remember going, oh my gosh, I'm here. I'm really here. What did you see that lit you up with that?
Return to Forever with Santana.
Nice.
And that was, and when I say Return to Forever, I mean Romantic Warrior period. So I mean, that was an arena concert with those guys. So I mean, and with Chick Corea just passing, recently, to remember that show at that time, and my dad took me. I was like in junior high or something, And then I had that feeling, that one that you're talking about. Wow, I'm going to a show my dad's taking me. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, thank you for reminding me of that type of a feeling. Yeah.
So happy we had you on together.
Yeah, that's really great.
When we pick our guests, it's completely at random who goes where.
Not completely, but like
so much connected with that when you talked about the going to the event and then the things that happen afterwards. It was really wonderful. Thank you guys.
Kate says on a Zoom call this week, one of the questions asked was, "What makes you feel most alive?" And one answer was going to live concerts, and they mentioned how much he'd missed them. And Stubble Judge says, "I'll be forever thankful to the great C.C. Chapman for bringing me to see Prince at the Boston Garden many moons ago."
Wow. Awesome. Yes.
That's a good concert right there. Wow.
Yeah, I saw him at the Forum, but that was L.A. Yeah, but that was like back in the 80s. Yeah.
Well, Cece's like a proper Prince fan, like
crazy, ridiculous Prince fan. Kyle's point about where you see something matters so much. I saw something at the bowl in California, oh my gosh, Santa Barbara Bowl, and it was 9 Inch Nails and Jane's Addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily my favorite bands in the world, but I really like Trent Reznor's work, and the acoustics of the venue were such that any seat's the best seat. And we had ridiculously good seats so that we got to like talk to Perry Farrell and that kind of a thing. So that's always a fun experience you get too, is the closer you can get, the more intimate feeling you can get versus the stadium. But even sometimes being a speck in who wouldn't have wanted to be at Wembley to watch Freddie Mercury do his last major performance? Right. Would have been crazy. All right. We have things to do, guys. We have to get out of here too. Come on. Hurry up. We have to do a few things. Here's one.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
How do you
I love these.
The old Stubble Judge himself. That's where I'm going.
Oh, nice. Person of the day.
That's where I'm going. Person
We'll
of the day.
Send you some backpack coin, person of the day.
Yep, we're sending it. What else?
Just need your rally ID, which I happen to know a guy who has it. So we'll send you some backpack coin.
I think we'll send you some coins. So then we have one question we ask every single guest who's ever been on the show. Everybody from Sir Mix-a-Lot to 5-time beatboxing champion Butterscotch has answered the question, what goes in your backpack? Could be something physical like an avocado, or it could be something metaphorical like grit and determination. Carrie, what's a great physical thing to put in a backpack?
Extra set of teeth.
An extra set of teeth.
You just never
How
know.
about something metaphorical we could put in?
Kindness. The world needs more of it.
Can't send enough kindness out into the world. Carl, cartoon character Burnett, what are we adding to this backpack?
Well, I think that the important things, are the kind of the metaphorical things, like what you were saying, Carrie, and patience is a good one to have in there, and I have it up to a certain point, and then I cross over a little bit too quick to the next level. So I have to, I think that's a good one to have.
I do not have patience
Yeah,
with that, but I agree it would be a very good thing to have. Ask Stubble Judge how little patience I have.
Yeah, but listen,
really familiar.
If you take it slow, it'll work itself out fine, because all we need is a little patience.
Oh, every show, you people, every show does
a triumph. Kyle Lamont, we need to know, what on the earth are we putting in the backpack today?
Carl, you took the word right out of my mouth.
Okay.
With patience too.
Stop it. I don't believe you.
I honestly, patience, especially today in today's world, goes a long way. But as creatives, we always want things overnight. And we always sort of have this like big vision, right, Carl, of something. And it's like, all right, everyone, like, don't you see it? And I think there's a lot of patience in trying to wait for people to sort of and to share and to grow with the process and all of that. But yeah, patience. I would say my physical object though is a pair of swimming goggles. I always
She doesn't swim. She just
wear
wears
around
the
the
goggles.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, try it, for new perspective. You really want.
It's like I'm an influencer for goggles, so.
So when traveling though, like I love to just go for swims anytime I can, and so a pair of goggles really helps.
I'm trying to find my goggles. I have some left right here.
You do not.
I do. I
Right
really
next
do.
to him, like an arm.
How did these two end up on the same show? This is hysterical.
I'm trying to find my steampunk goggles, and I thought they were.
Oh.
I
We should just-
thought they were going to be an arm.
We should just make Carl bigger and just be like, let's watch Carl Burnett
watch.
find things. Yeah,
like his show and tell.
I would watch that. My kids would watch that.
It's
listen.
an episode of Carl Fighting.
Right?
We want to give you backpack coin. So if you have a rally ID, email it to me and we'll send you some, and use the code word Booyah so I know that you were here during
This
the live
episode.
show, and we'll send you some backpack coin, which, if you haven't figured out, is money. So just take it.
Right.
So normally I end the show talking a little bit about my grandmother, but I will tell Kyle a story about Augusta, Maine at the Augusta Civic Center.
Yay.
Born and raised, I was born in Waterville, but I never lived there. I was raised in Augusta. My mom and I happened to be at that venue at the same time for two different things. She worked for the phone company. I was there to see Diamond David Lee Roth back when he had broken off from Van Halen and he was slumming it with Fire and Billy Sheehan, two incredible musicians. And my mom happened to sneak in to watch part of David Lee Roth. This is a true story. So we're at the same venue, same show. I'm watching him with my friends down on the general admission back when that was a thing. And she's up in some like rafters somewhere watching the Diamond David Lee Roth get ready to sing Just a Gigolo.